enough said about us. Ask questions. You got the two of us up here. How can we help you guys? How can we give you some clarity? How can we, however we can help you, just grab a mic and let's go. Yes, Dan.
So from the first meeting to now, I see there's a lot more women, and it seems like these are your wives. So how do we just get another Apex membership to bring our wives? Because I know Jason's going to ask the same question, but I like how you have your wives with you because, like you said, it's hers anyways. And I think a lot of people don't understand that when they are running a business. And my wife does work for me at one of my other businesses because she's not going to steal from you. You don't have to worry about the distrust from someone else getting greedy or anything like that. Hey, it's there, so it's yours. So I have what you said and what you guys have said. Owning a business, especially making a shit ton of money, people will do what's in the benefit of them when it comes to a dollar bill. So that's just more so my question is, I guess we'll find out what we need to do to get our wives here. But
we want to get your wife involved. We love that. And really, honestly, there's a lot of things that I have failed at in life. That's maybe how I got the experience to actually be up here. But one thing that I think I do better than anything else is a husband, father. That's hard. I think Raheem asked me, no, maybe it wasn't Raheem. Someone asked me, maybe it was Tony. Yeah, it was Tony the other day. He said, what keeps you going? And I said, the typical thing for a man to say is, I got a wife and 4 kids. I got bills to pay, or this. I always got to be this strong guy for everybody. I don't get to be a vulnerable dude very often because if I'm like, dude, my life is falling apart, then all of y'all will be like, shit, if he's losing it, we're all in trouble, And so I always got to be the everything's going to be fine, homie kind of guy, and pretend that sometimes that I have it all figured out when maybe I don't have it all figured out. But I think I do have the one thing figured out because of trial and error and her not leaving me, because she's had plenty of opportunity too, just because, I am Old Yeller. That's what my family calls me. That's Dad. Dad rhymes with mad. He's Old Yeller. And, I've gotten a lot better at that over the last 5 or so years, but the first 5 years of our relationship were...
You're a panicker, potty training our 3-year-old and she had poop in her hands. You
ain't got to tell them this story.
You can freak out about that. You're allowed. Everybody's going to freak out about poop in the hands. Continue.
And so, but everybody who's ever met my kids, our kids, they always say, man, you have the most amazing 4 kids. Even the 2.5-year-old seems to mind pretty well for a 2.5-year-old kid. And you can't fake kids, I know when I meet somebody else's, I can tell if you pay attention to their kids. I can tell if you discipline your kids. And I'm not saying in the sense of spanking them, which I've had to do very few times in my lifetime because I don't like that, but I do discipline them. I teach them the disciplines of life. The first time that Sean went to the ranch with me, I don't even know that he was officially working here yet, but I like to take people, I learned this from Sammy. And one of the reasons I bought a ranch is not, I grew up on one, but I've had such a pleasant time with Sammy over the years at his ranch that I thought, man, I want to have that same experience because when you get somebody behind the gate, you see who they really are. There's no cameras, there's no social media, there's no people around, the cows don't go gossiping, and you find out who somebody really is. And I take Sean out there to see who he is. Hey, you say you want to work on the ranch. We're going to find out. But I learned this from Sammy, and I take Sean to the ranch, and my kids are in the back seat, my boys. We didn't take my girl because we were going to be on the tractor, and it's hard to drive with the falling asleep daughter on your hands. And, I told Sean, I said, watch this. And I tell my kids, hey, what's core value number 1? Responsibility. What's that mean? We make no excuses. Or sometimes they say FYE because they think that's cute, But I show them, it's like, hey, man, you're going to get into a world here and you're going to get really close to me and you're going to realize that this isn't fake. This isn't an act. And these are things that you can't make up. If your kids know your core values, Sammy's spent time with my kids and he's like, man, you have some of the best behaved kids. Josh and Brandon, you've spent time with my kids on the jet. They're very well behaved and that's something that I don't fake. So what I say all that for is we want more couples in here. That's one of the things that I think we do better than anything else is manage a marriage. And if we can teach you that, it'll help you make more money. Because here's why. In the book of Proverbs, it says, better to live in a laden shack than to have a nagging wife. And a lot of guys will look at that and go, yeah, nobody wants a nagging wife. But what it really means is if you do things right, your wife won't nag you. Because it is better to live in a shack than have a nagging wife, because a nagging wife is annoying. Or a nagging husband, it's annoying. But let me tell you about a marriage. Your wife won't nag you to do something wrong. Your wife's not gonna nag you to go out drinking more. Your wife's not gonna nag you to not mow the yard or not pay attention to the kids. Your wife's not gonna nag you and say, you know what, you need a drug addiction. You need to spend more money. You need to quit mowing the yard. You need to quit taking care of the house. You need to quit showing up for your family so much. That's not what women or anybody nags about. They nag about the things that we're supposed to do as men that we're neglecting from their love language or from what it is that their needs in the relationship are. And so if you have a spouse that is pushing you and is nagging you, that's your fault, not theirs. They're just trying to, because Amy's not scared of me. I've never hit Amy. We've never been in a physical altercation. Do we raise our voices sometimes? Usually me, not her. But she has no fear of me. So, and your wife should have no fear of you. As of if me and Tony, if Tony nags me, we might end up in a fist fight. You know what I mean? Like, I've had enough, right? Because we're men, that's what we do. But a wife, she has no fear of you, so she has the ability to tell you what your homies want, your coworkers want, your boss want, your friends want. She has the ability to tell you the things where you're missing. And I always have this inappropriate saying of like, hey, your wife's seen the worst part of you. She's literally seen your butthole, you know? And if things are good at home anyway.
We need to revise that a little bit.
You know, and I say that because she knows the worst part about you, and she still accepts you. So the things that she's telling you to do are what you're neglecting in the family life that will make your life better. And so we do want to, you know, do more marriage stuff and lead people in that, because over the years, 81,000 clients later, getting closer to 82, we sell a lot of digital products, a lot of books, a lot of things like that that aren't Apex related. And phone sites is another one, you know, Closer Capital. But for many years, the reason why I started Apex was for many years, I would make a guy like Cade, I'll use him as an example. Cade comes in, he's a salesman making 80 grand a year, and we take him to $250,000 because we teach him social media, we teach him lead generation, we teach him how to build a team, whatever that is. Cade's never made that money before, so his ego gets a little swollen. Then he goes home and he tells his wife, you listen to me, I make all the money around here. Right? Like none of us have ever done that, right? I'm running stuff, you're not making the money, I'm the man, right? And then he goes out with his homies because his wife's, he's acting that way with his wife. So then he avoids his wife because she knows she's tired of it and it's drama at home. And so he starts going out and neglecting the things that are there. She starts to nag more, and that ends up in divorce. And the thing I hated about coaching people was I help a person double their income, triple their income, and now all of a sudden they're gonna give half of that to somebody that's not with them anymore. And it killed me, you know? And I said, man, we need to focus, babe. We had this conversation in 2017. I said, we need to focus on, because we had a lot of people go through it. They were all going to strip clubs together and going out and partying. We used to do BFA, and at the end of BFA, we go get bottle service. Remember that? Till people started sleeping together that were married, you know, like, and now all of a sudden we got to keep people secret. It's like you are married and you are married. Y'all are both here, and we just saw y'all. Oh man, now we got to keep secrets, and it's so awkward when we meet people, and it put us in a weird position, and so we stopped doing that, obviously, but we would watch people's marriages fall apart because people were making money or they were starting to get famous on social media. Now all of a sudden they're out. Everything they work for is gone. They're paying it in lawyers. They're paying it in alimony. They're paying it in child support. They're paying it in a divorce settlement. And we were like, man, we got to find a way to change people's lives, not just their finances.
Yeah, when you come here, you truly experience things that really do transform your life. And it transforms your thinking. It transforms the way you do business. It gnaws at you to just grow into this so like renewed person, really. That's the goal. And you see that time and time again with everybody. And you want her to be along for that ride. And I know as a female, like, even if it's the best advice, sometimes if you tell me like, well, you should do this, I'm like, I don't like to be bossed around. You know what I mean? It can be the best thing to say, and it's like, okay, but I don't want to feel like you're being condescending or whatever. Like, I'm a smart human. Like, I can figure it out for myself. So it coming from somebody else and you experiencing this together is awesome. You know, it's really powerful. It truly is.
Who else got something? Yes, ma'am.
So this is for you, and first, I will say, and then if Amy can chime in a little as well. I think it was probably a year ago, you had made a comment, this is going to be something personal. You had made a comment about your son, Jax. And this is probably one of the main things that stuck with me from the very first time that I saw you. You talked about when he comes back from his mom's house, it's almost like reprogramming to your guys' home environment, to your values. And so we kind of have a similar thing, and I come from a place of brokenness with this. How do you not get defeated? How do you not, be broken when it comes to that? I'm in fear of if I try to be firm on these rules, my son running away again. He left, he was gone for a little over 2 years. And he's 16 years old, gonna be 17 years old. And I am afraid. I tiptoe around. Well, I don't wanna rock the boat there because I'm afraid he's gonna leave. So, does most of your guidance, I guess, come from Pastor Keith?
It has, yes. Pastor Keith's been a big. He doesn't have the same struggle because he has his own kids, right? One time I was talking to Pastor Keith's been a major influence in my life. And one time I was talking to Josh, his son, who's the pastor now, and Josh said, I admire some of the things that you do more than my father because my father didn't have to overcome those things, and I never really thought about it that way. But there was a couple of things, I know exactly what you're talking about because you want him to conform to the way the other kids are, but you also don't want to push him away, right? And so I know exactly what you're talking about. And, there's a couple of things that I had to do pre-work before I could do what I'm about to tell you. Number one is I decided a long time ago when Jackson was born that I was going to be the dad I never had. Both of my dads are losers. They make okay money now, and one of them's the head of they jokingly call me the sheepdog, and my dad is literally the head of the United States Sheepdog Association, right? And but he left when I was 7 or 8 years old, and I've maybe seen him 10 times in my life since then, so he hasn't been a pivotal person in my life. And my stepdad didn't understand me, and he liked to hit me, I remember I was telling somebody last night, I remember my stepdad came home from a hard day of work with a piece of wood and spent all weekend turning it into a paddle. And that mindset to me, he painted it, wrote my name on it, like it was a damn gift or something. You know what I mean? That was the kind of just a mean person that I had to deal with. And so I didn't want to be like that for my kids. And then when Jackson's mom and I got a divorce, which brought me to point number 2, is I had to be the ex-husband that nobody else is. And I made this goal in life. Hardest goal you could possibly imagine as an ex-husband. But when my ex-wife is sitting around with her girlfriends and they're all complaining about their boyfriends, husbands, or ex-husbands, and it's her turn to talk, she ain't gonna have nothing to say. That's a hard decision to make because she doesn't have the same feelings about me, right? Her and her family have no shortage of opinions on Ryan Stewman, but I have done my best 99% of the time, never to say anything negative about his mom or his grandfather or anything else. And they are good people. They literally, you can almost see their house from here. They are good people. They live in a very nice home. Her father was CEO of Children's Hospital for 37 years. He has been a bigger mentor to me than Pastor Keith. And he has dementia, so half the time he doesn't even really recognize what he's doing. It's pretty difficult to deal with, right? And my son has to see that. Some mornings he wakes up and George knows who he is, and some mornings he wakes up and George thinks he's Denton, George's oldest son. And so my kid is being, we talk often about we got to get Jax out of this, Prime examples, Jax is in Florida with Matt Sapala right now. So Patrick Bet David's right-hand man, Jackson is we got Matt's kids into our school. our school. We helped Matt get his kids enrolled into Prince of Peace over here, and Matt went as a chaperone. I paid $3,000 for him to go on his first class trip. I'm having to fight with his mom, because I don't fight, because I'm the ex-husband that doesn't exist, right? That's better ex-husband than
You're
I was
the unicorn
husband.
ex-husband.
And she says, Jackson can't go on that trip. First of all, I already paid $3,000, and it's non-refundable, so he's going. You know what I mean?
Four.
Jackson convinced me that mom said it was cool, so I didn't call her and ask. I just paid the bill. You know, I want to yell at her. I'm an old yeller. Don't forget that, y'all. I want to yell at her, but that's not going to benefit my kid. Then when he comes into the house, he's used to I'll never forget when I was married to Ashley, she likes her family. I don't have family. Okay, brothers, sisters, I don't talk to any of them. I found out my grandpa died the other day because Rod Vilhauer, the dude that did the dirt work on my ranch, goes, yeah, the old man passed away and we're doing this. Really, that was my grandpa. He goes, that was your grandpa's house? I mean, that's how close I am with my family, right? And so he comes over and I go over to her house and we're watching a football game. And at my house, when I grew up, if you want something, you get your lazy butt up and you go get it. That's how my dad talked to me. Hey, Dad, can you pass me the salt? No, you get up and get it. Hey, Dad, can you go get me something to drink? No, you go get your own drink. That's how I grew up. At her family, it worked like this. Hey, Amy, will you get me a drink? Amy goes, hey, Tim, you mind getting a drink for Ryan? And hey, Angela, will you get a drink for? They like keep passing it around the room till they're like, you're the last person standing. You're like, well, I guess it's my turn. I'm like, the amount of laziness was insane to me, right? But they're also very generous people, so they were just used to everybody doing stuff for them. I didn't grow up like that. So over there, everything is done for Jax. When he comes to our house, he's got chores, take out the trash. He mows the yard here. He mows the yard at the ranch. This guy has been mowing the yard for a year now at both places. And when he's not in school during the summer, rides the zero-turn mower and the tractor. I taught him how to do all that stuff himself. But every time we have to, hey, this isn't the lazy house. We don't say that, but this isn't the lazy house. You have to go fend for yourself. You have to go do yourself, and he's at an age now where he's got a girlfriend and, he spends a lot of time up in his room texting his girlfriend when he's here, and he always in the wintertime wears a hoodie. He's like Kenny from South Park. And Amy does a great impression of him when she puts on a hoodie, she's like, I'm Jax.
He loves it.
Yeah.
Is that what I look like? Mm-hmm.
But what we've done is we've agreed with the ex-wife that it's yes or no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. So we have that in agreement with the ex-wife that we're going to carry that through both houses. At our house, we drive our core values, the same Apex core values we have here. We're always with our kids. One of the things that I can tell you guys, and this is how we get them to lighten up and change almost immediately, is Amy is also trying to outshine his mother. Not to take the place of his mother, but for him to see Amy and go, wow, she cares for me. Because his mom, she's the, hey, Tony, will you get me this? Where Amy's like, hey, honey, I got this for you, right? And so
My goal is to fill the void of the love he doesn't receive.
Yes. And so we do this thing, and we've talked about it a lot, but some of you are new here, so it's worth repeating, called the Family Huddle. And lately, I told my wife in December, hey, I'm gonna come in here and pull some plugs, and I'm gonna be gone for about 90, maybe 180 days. Bear with me. So I may not be home for dinner. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna really shake stuff up, and it's gonna be very hard. I knew all this that we're facing and we're going through and we're on the other side of was coming. And I told her, I haven't asked this for a long time, but I'm about to hammer down and I need you to bear with me. She said, yeah, thanks for the heads up, right? But still 1 or 2 times a week, I think we did it Tuesday, was the last time that we were able to do it this week, because we've had investors and then last night with you guys and date night with us, right? So, but we do the family huddle. And guys, the way that this works is real simple. You get around the table with your whole family. You start with the youngest, lead up to the oldest, which is me, Old Yeller. And you ask them, hey, what's your praise for the day? So kids, typically, you say, how was your day today? It's cool, right? But I want to know what's up with your day today. Our son, Asher, how was your day today? Good. No. What was good about it, right? I want to know, what was the cool part? Well, we were playing bocce ball and this, that, and the other happened, right? You get them to open up, right? And so when he comes over and we do family huddle, he starts to open up about his day, And then the second part of that is, okay, so what's your praise, the best part of your day? What's your prayer? What do you like for me to pray about? One thing I notice about all of my kids is maybe I'm wrong, correct me, I don't think I've ever heard them ask to pray for themselves.
You're not wrong.
They,
They always pray for each
somebody
other.
else. My friend, my brother, pray for dad, he's losing his mind. Pray for my grandpa. They never say pray for me. They're always praying for someone else. If there's something I can learn from my kids is that they never pray for themselves. They're always praying for somebody else, And because a lot of times when we pray, we're like, God, can you help me? And maybe God's calling us to pray for somebody else, and then he'll help us by default. I don't know that that's the case, but that my kids always want to help somebody else. It's in our DNA. But after we do that, everybody says their praise and prayer. Then I pray, I go last, and I pray for everybody, right? Simple prayer. Hey, God, thank you for this family. Thank you for all of our praises. Answer our prayers, blah, blah, blah. And that doesn't happen at the other house. So that typically breaks that pattern to where it's like, oh, yeah, I'm in the house of love again. I'm not saying he's not loved over there. And I'm not saying that having 3 brothers and sisters isn't craziness in our house. But it just breaks that pattern that, Now, if I have to correct him, Jackson, the other day, kisses a girl in the hallway at school. He's in the 6th grade at a Christian school, not the greatest thing. Well, we got notice last night from email that Wednesday night that our 11-year-olds are making inappropriate sexual terms. So I have to have the conversation with both of them now.
They're commenting
right?
on things that are
Yes.
changing.
So he kisses his girlfriend, and I get an email about it. Amy gets an email about it. I get home, and he goes, Dad, I know what you're thinking. And I was like, just come in the bedroom, I got to be the disciplinarian, not the punisher, the disciplinarian. Big difference, right? A lot of times people think discipline synonymous with punishment. I set him down in there, and I said, listen, first of all, congrats on having a girlfriend. That's a load off of my mind, if you know what I mean. And nothing against that. It was just a load off of my mind to deal with because I don't know anything about that. And I said, he goes, are you going to yell at me? I said, no, I'm not going to yell at you, but there's a time and a place for everything. And the hallway's not the time nor the place, If you go to a movie and you want to hold hands and kiss, that's what I did, right? Like, let me give you a little bit of game here on how to get what you want. And then I explained to him, somewhat touching and things of that were off limits at this age and stuff of that nature, right? Because they all know what the deal is. I knew what it was by the time I was his age. And I'm about to have the full-on talk with him in the next week. I'm going to have to sit him and Asher down. And she's like, don't do it. And I'm like, shut up. I got to handle it. But I used to really be reserved on how I, because the other kids, Colton, what are you doing, right? Like, Asher, knock it out. Yelling at Asher this morning. Your mom woke you up 40 minutes ago and you still ain't done your hair, right? Like, that's our house, just so you know, right? And that was like literally this morning. That was this morning. Amy's like, he's not even ready yet. Oh, I got this, right? Because Asher can't go nowhere. Asher's not going to go to his dad's house and then be like, he was nicer than you. So he's got to deal with the intensity. Jackson has to. He could say, hey, I don't want to go over there. Dad was mean to me, right? And so what I do is set him down, and I just teach him right from wrong with authority and discipline, but without any kind of resentment in there. Hey, this is wrong. This is why it's wrong. You can't do that again, or we're going to have issues. But how long ago? I gave Jackson a spanking maybe 6 months ago. What was that behind?
What did he do?
I forgot what it was. That's how often, and it's probably the 3rd one of his life, but it was severe enough to where.
Did he really? No, he didn't lie about something. It was something where we were like,
it was big.
Man, you're 12.
It was big.
What was it?
And when we were done though, and I just pow, I'm over. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's gonna bother me. I don't
when it
remember
was over with, he's like, I'm sorry, Dad, I won't do that again. And it was at that point that I knew that, okay, the way that I'm handling these situations wasn't I'm never coming back over here again. It was like, he knew, hey, I messed up, I won't do that again. Now, I tell you that long story for this, because I gotta be the man that he looks up to and respects so that he doesn't resent me and go against me, because my kids are about to be teenagers. And the way I revolted against my dad was my dad said, don't drink, and he was a damn drunk. Right? The way that I revolted against my dad is everything he said, do as I say, not as I do. Well, why would I do that? We lead by example. We don't lead by words. Words aren't leadership. Example is leadership. And so with my kids, I've never lied to them. That's so difficult. They ask me a question. I'm like, do you really want to know? Or do you want to pretend like that you didn't ask me that? Because I'm going to tell you, you may or may not like the answer to it. You know, about a year ago, we're at the ranch, and I'm smoking a joint behind the ranch, and Jackson comes around the corner, and he goes, that smells just like the weed houses over there. Do you smoke weed? I had a choice, a big choice, you know? Yes, son, I don't recommend starting. And that was one of the reasons I decided to quit after that, because my kids are getting old enough to where I don't want them to do as I say. Hey, I'm high, but you shouldn't get high. Well, you seem to be functioning. You bought like 10 Lamborghinis and run a big business. What's wrong with getting high, right? That's not the example that I want to give to them. So now they've also seen Dad says don't get high and he quit. You know, Dad says don't drink and he quit. And that's what keeps me accountable on that level too. That, and I just made a decision with God, but that's what's keeping me accountable on that level too. So I have to be the example to where he says, I don't want to let Dad down because he's never let me down. And I think that's the big answer. I had to tell you this long story, but that's the big answer you're looking for, is to become that woman and Brandon be that man that, like, I look up to them. I don't want to let them down, as opposed to the way that they treat me, this, that, and the other. So it's not a revolt, but Amy could probably chime in on that too.
I think the best mentality I got into that allowed me to just flawlessly handle the co-parenting with his ex-wife. And to provide context, Jax is 12. He's Ryan's son from a previous marriage. Asher, our 11-year-old, is mine from a previous relationship. And then Harlan and Colton are the two little thoroughbreds. So
you gotta remember, Brandon was with us when we picked up Asher from Mike.
I know he knows. I'm allowing context for the room. So, and Jax and Asher, they're Irish twins. They're 13 months apart. So with Jax, I understand he didn't ask to be put in this situation, right? Like man, I get emotional over this shit.
Me too.
I know, it's so like, just to get you right there. And like, you can be tough at everything else in life, but your kids, whew, especially him. But I'm a big fan of reverse engineering. And I look at kids. And if a child is exhibiting any negative emotion behavior, it comes from fear. Any positive emotion behavior, that comes from love. So if you have a kid that's not behaving, that's not doing something right, man, there's a lack of love there somewhere. So for him, I try and guide him, right? Like, you can get someone to do something out of fear, out of instilling fear. They feel, okay, I have to do this because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't. Or you can nurture them to do that on their own through love. And for them to understand, okay, if I do this, there's going to be some good gratification for me if I do this. So and he's 12. So, man, and he's receptive. Every child wants to have that responsibility. They want to be given responsibility. They don't necessarily seek discipline where it will make them feel bad about themselves, but they seek discipline because they want to feel strong and like they are capable. So I speak to him with the respect and acknowledgement of the person he is, you know? And I think with co-parenting and with kids that are results of divorce, oh my gosh, it's so hard to take the emotion out of it. It is so hard. It's so hard for you to see that child and not see that person that you had a relationship that ended with, right? And so really taking the context of treating them like their own beautiful individual and just really not allowing your subconscious to get in and just nurture the good and just speak to them with so much love, you know? Oh, God, I get so emotional. But I talk to him and just polite, sweet, like, hey, buddy, like we really got to do that homework, yeah? And I try and just be his friend. You know, I used to try and be his mom. I did, but, you know, I'm a stepmom. And when I stopped doing that, and I stopped trying to give myself a title that he would look at me at, and I just loved the hell out of the kid. You know, my grandma, she just died, so I'm emotional today. But she had this beautiful little thing that said, please be patient, God isn't finished with me yet. And I remind myself of that every time I see him. And he's 12, and I get so scared, thinking like, fuck, he's like, I'm gonna blink, he's gonna be an adult. I want him to want to choose to hang out with us. You know, when he has a choice of where he's gonna go for Christmas, I want him to hang out with us. And so I take so much stock in that and really just cherish the time that I get with him and making sure that he feels respected, he feels loved. And man, that's rare. And when he feels like this is the space where he just gets poured into with love, with respect, and this is his space where he can just be him without judgment. And you don't see him for any relationship that ended. You don't see him for any of your shortcomings. You appreciate, love, and nurture him. God, does he love coming to our house? Yeah. It is just, you can just see him relax. And it's probably taken, like maybe a year, 2 years, because he went through his he's in his preteen now, but he's loyal to his mama. And that's one thing too, like they feel like, I know he feels like the more he's cool with me, that's kind of a disrespect to his mom. So for me, just not trying to play mama, just being cool and loving him, I think he finally got his mind wrapped around of, okay, you know, I can be cool with her and acknowledge and reciprocate that love, and that's not disrespecting my mom. But it's taken a while for us to get into this real sweet spot, and man, it's just pushing the positivity and pushing the love. And sometimes there's hard conversations I feel like I should have, and I'm like, oh, how the hell do I turn this into a positive, lovey-dovey, positive little talk? And you just, you know, sometimes discipline isn't what's going to get it. That boy's already had some hard stuff going on in his head, and they'll respond so much more with love.
Ooh, tough question. A lot of tears.
I didn't plan on crying.
So you guys get something from this Q&A this morning? Yeah, cool. I enjoyed it, you know, I really did. I enjoy sharing the stage with my wife and talking about a little bit of everything. So thank you guys.